Year after year, these commemorations grew and grew, and Saba's wish for people to learn about Transnistria was underway. As we all know, one of Saba's biggest missions later on in life was to educate young people, future generations, Ledor Vador, from generation to generation. As a matter of fact, one of Saba's favorite passages in the Passover Haggadah was, and I quote, "In every generation, one must look upon himself as if he personally had gone out of Egypt." By telling the story that we came out of Egypt, we identify with the characters and our ancestors who lived through the events. And as with this commemoration, by telling the stories of Transnistria, the younger generation identifies with our older generation who lived through the unspeakable. And that was Saba's mission, for the younger generation to know it, for the younger generation to feel it and to see it, so that we can pass it on, Ledor Vador. So Saba set out on a journey to build a young team of students. He reached out to his great friend Rabbi White in search of students who can not only help him with commemorations, but run them side by side with him. He found David, Jacqueline, Adina, and many more. He recognized their value as future Jewish leaders, and their relationships became a two-way street. Saba was incredibly inspired by the young people, by the students, and the students are forever inspired by Saba. Saba had the immense pleasure of watching David, Jacqueline, Adina, and more dedicating themselves to the cause and making the choice to keep these commemorations going by themselves over the last 5 years. I know in my heart that the fact that the students, that the young people took over the commemorations was probably one of the highlights of Saba's life accomplishments. I can tell you that because he'd very often talk to my brother and I about the young people, about the students, and on how much you guys meant to him. You were his friends. You were his family. You were his teachers. I want to personally thank every student over the last couple of years who became a part of the tapestry of Saba's life. You're part of the reason why Saba was able to get back up when he faced some of life's challenges. And today, you're the reason why his mission, his memory, and these events continue to live, even though he's no longer with us. Yasher koach.
It's an honor to have Baruch's family here with us today. His wife Sonia, his grandson Mark, his granddaughter-in-law Sarah, and his great-granddaughter Molly. I now invite all of them to light the memorial candle in memory of the Jews who perished in the Holocaust. I now call upon Ariella Gutman to recite a poem in Romanian.
Ceva luminos, de Ilarie Voronca. Ceva luminos, dulce, vreau să vă anunț. Vouă tuturor oamenilor de azi și de mâine. De aceea am mai luat odată instrumentele poetului, căci revine poetului menirea să rostească dreptatea de mâine. Vine un timp nou, iată ceea ce doar câțiva au presimțit. s-ar fi zis un văl care ar apărea departe deasupra oceanului. O corabie încărcată cu tot ceea ce le lipsea oamenilor. Pâine și o mare bunătate, o mare iubire. Această bucurie a inimii de a bate nu pentru ea, ci pentru corp și spirit în întregime. Această bucurie a poetului de a scrie nu pentru el, ci pentru o mulțime generoasă. Această bucurie a omului de a-și regăsi semenii. Iată deci ceea ce vreau să vă anunț. Cerul, primăvara, vacanțele de care se vorbea în vechile poeme, vor fi pentru toți de acum înainte. Și frumusețea, speranța, redate oamenilor, precum vederea orbilor.
I call upon the grade 6 students of United Talmud Torah to sing for us, Eli, Eli. We will now hear a few words from City Councilor Dita Burke.
Thank you very much, David, Sonia, and Mark, and the entire family of Baruch, our beloved Baruch, and Jacqueline, and David. It's become a tradition now in Cantor. Good morning. It's become a tradition now that I attend these events, and this year in particular I decided to help David get it all organized, and we had a lot of support from various people who are in the audience, and they know who they are, and that's why we have such a great attendance, and it's really remarkable, and I really appreciate all the tremendous work that you guys are doing. So I'm a daughter of a survivor. My father was in the Yassi pogrom in 1941. 13,000 Jews were rounded up and killed, murdered, over a period of 2-3 days. And originally I was supposed to give the keynote address, but I've already given this address in 2014. Many of you may have heard it. I also spoke at Baruch's book launch, which has now become our Bible, and it's a wonderful read, and you should all really take the opportunity to read it because it's very, very interesting. And my mother is here. She's 95. It was quite a feat to get her here this morning. So I wanted to say a few words before finally we decided I was going to introduce Dana Ionescu, because the content of this event became so rich with young people and stories that different people had to offer. So I decided instead that I would introduce Dana Ionescu, who is a researcher at UQAM and who's doing a wonderful project on survivors, and is also working at the University of Quebec, and is also working in Iași in Romania, and she's going to talk to you in a few minutes about what's happening now. I wanted to make it more contemporary and more up to date. But there's one message that I really want to give with regard to what I learned from this experience that my father went through and that Baruch went through, and I'm especially talking to the young children about the meaning of anti-Semitism and how it actually demonstrated itself. So I want to underscore one main point, which is common to my father's story and to Baruch's story. We all know that as a major outbreak of violent anti-Semitism, the Iași pogrom was neither isolated nor fortuitous, rather was part of a long series of mass murders committed by Romanian fascists, organized by the SSE, the Romanian Intelligence Service, in coordination with the General Staff of the Romanian Army and the ABWER. What made it so unique, and this is the point I'm trying to get across, is that it was perpetrated by Romanians and Germans, but aided and abetted by neighbors in full public view. This is what made the Iași pogrom and the Kristallnacht of Bucharest very unique. It was a turning point in the war. And Paul Shapiro, director of the Center for Advanced Studies at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, has commented that this Iași pogrom and also the Bucharest Kristallnacht, which was 6 months prior, had been one of the most infuriating massacres. And I quote, "The Iași pogrom is very important in the history of the Holocaust. It is a mass killing that takes place in the view of the public." It's like we would go outside here today and suddenly we would see 130 Jews being taken to the slaughterhouse at Bucharest, or 13,000 Jews rounded up at the train station in Montreal West and killed and murdered on their way to Podilloy and back. Shapiro explains, and he further says, this established for the Romanians and for the Germans as well the fact that it was possible to murder people in front of their neighbors. In front of their neighbors. This story reflects what is particularly remarked by scholars of the Holocaust as the turning point. And my own father's story, which I've told many times, is very much reflected in Baruch's comments on this same subject. And I'm going to read from page 28 and 29, very briefly. Baruch says, "I began to lose my so-called friends as I walked home one day. For the first time, I confronted the true horror of anti-Semitism. On the sidewalk, I met up with a group of youngsters, so-called friends, with whom I used to attend movies. They taunted me, saying, 'You're a Jew, Yehuda, you have to walk on the other side of the street.' I wasn't a very strong guy, and I always tried to avoid fighting, so I crossed to the other side of the street. After a few moments, the same group of boys teased me, saying, 'We told you you're not allowed to walk on this side. You have to walk on the other side.' And they laughed back and forth. 'No, you have to walk in the middle of the street.' That encounter remained with me, and it bothers me even today." Now, you heard in the video, he talked about the man, the neighbor that helped him and saved him in front of his house and then hit him. This man, I'm reading on page 29 of his book, this man was a good Christian. He was a neighbor. We used to send our shoes to him to repair. We had known each other for years and would play with his children. But it was one of his own sons who was amongst the group that mocked me. "You're a Jew, you're not supposed to be on this side of the street, you have to go on the other side of the street." We played soccer together. My father always used to tell me that. The Jews, they used to play soccer together, but it did not matter in the face of anti-Semitism. Those things still bother me. The memories are disturbing, and even as I get older and older, they come back to me often, making me extremely upset. So, given this notion of, betrayal, I think that it's very important that we keep the legacy of our survivors alive, and that we continue to help those survivors tell their stories. And it's for that reason that I contacted, or Dana UNESCO contacted us, and I'm going to introduce her to you now. She's a historian, she's a researcher, she's doing work with the museum in Romania. They're producing a movie, and if any one of you has stories, if anyone of you has any incidents that you want to share, Dana is very able and capable of helping us maintain that legacy. So Dana's going to speak in French. She has some PowerPoints that are, I believe, in English. And David, thank you very much for assisting us in doing this. Thank you. Merci, Dana.
Merci beaucoup, Dina. Merci beaucoup. Chère madame, chers monsieur, chers enfants. Merci. Je commence avec une citation de Elie Wiesel qui disait « L'opposé de l'amour n'est pas la haine, c'est l'indifférence. L'opposé de l'art n'est pas la laideur, c'est l'indifférence. L'opposé de la foi n'est pas l'hérésie, c'est l'indifférence. L'opposé de la vie n'est pas la mort, c'est l'indifférence. » Tout comme Elie Wiesel, je crois fortement que nous tous, juifs et non-juifs, on a un devoir de faire en sorte, par les moyens qu'on a, de ne pas laisser tomber dans l'oubli la mémoire de l'Holocauste. Elie Wiesel dit aussi « Un homme sans passé est plus pauvre qu'un homme sans avenir ». Aujourd'hui, nous allons commémorer ici les victimes de l'Holocauste roumain. Je ne suis pas ici aujourd'hui devant vous pour parler de chiffres, de l'histoire de l'Holocauste roumain, 2 années de la guerre en Roumanie. Hannah Arendt a dit « La Roumanie était le pays le plus antisémite de l'Europe d'avant-guerre ». Je suis ici pour parler des êtres humains, je suis ici pour parler des victimes, de leurs souffrances, de leurs mémoires blessées, des existences déplacées. Je suis ici pour parler des souvenirs. Je vous assure que j'ai pris en sérieux mon devoir en tant qu'historienne de ne pas laisser tomber dans l'oubli la mémoire de ceux qui ont vécu et de ceux qui ont des souvenirs de cette période et qui veulent les partager et qui peuvent les partager. Depuis quelques années, je me suis penchée sur un sujet de recherche qui m'a choisi. La reconstruction de la mémoire de ceux qui ont pris la décision de quitter la Roumanie dans les années d'avant la guerre, pendant celle-ci et dans l'immédiate après-guerre. Ma recherche porte sur les trajectoires des rescapés de la Shoah roumaine et a comme ambition de remettre en perspective certains souvenirs, de les réévaluer et de les souligner pour éviter qu'ils ne sombrent dans l'oubli. Toute recherche sur la Shoah roumaine, l'émigration, la réappropriation de la mémoire de ceux qui ont pu laisser des témoignages est une pièce très importante d'un puzzle dont très peu de pièces ont été rassemblées à ce jour. C'est la raison pour laquelle la découverte des témoignages laissés par les Juifs roumains établis à Montréal au musée de l'Holocauste m'a poussée à entreprendre une recherche plus minutieuse. J'aimerais savoir que reste-t-il de la mémoire des immigrants juifs roumains de Montréal de ce contexte socio-historique de la Shoah roumaine. Quels souvenirs gardent-ils de ce contexte en particulier et comment influence-t-il leur récit d'aujourd'hui? Ce n'est pas un travail facile car j'explore des souvenirs qui remontent à 70 ans et plus. J'ai eu la chance de discuter dans un cadre familial avec certains de ceux qui ont encore des souvenirs des années de la Shoah en Roumanie. J'ai également eu la chance que d'autres membres de leur famille ont contribué à la remémoration de l'époque de leur départ et de leur voyage avant d'y arriver ici. Je partage avec vous une expérience qui m'a beaucoup touchée et qui m'a poussée à vouloir continuer cette recherche au-delà de toute difficulté. C'est une tranche de vie, ce sont des tranches de vie. Je parle de la rencontre que j'ai eue avec Madame Eleonora Bercou, ici présente, révérence Madame, et merci beaucoup. J'appelle pour avoir un rendez-vous. Ce n'est jamais facile d'appeler une personne qui va témoigner pour toi. Les émotions sont là, beaucoup d'émotions. Quand tu vas rentrer dans les intimités de la mémoire, parfois oubliée, parfois laissée à côté pour pouvoir continuer à vivre. Mais tu le fais et je le fais. La rencontre a été de toute richesse. Richesse d'informations, car Madame Eleonora Berg m'a donné toute une leçon d'histoire de la Roumanie. Elle m'a raconté les jours du pogrom de Iași, comme c'était hier. Elle a partagé avec beaucoup d'émotion les conditions dans lesquelles son mari a été mis dans le train de la mort et la façon dont il a réussi à rester en vie. Une richesse émotionnelle, car parfois les larmes ont coulé, richesse de la présence d'une personne qui voulait tout dire, richesse qui venait de quelqu'un qui avait vu, avec les yeux d'une jeune fille, les horreurs de l'époque. Au moment donné, Madame Eleonora Bercu m'a dit « Je savais qu'un jour tu vas venir et que j'aurai la chance de raconter ma vie en Roumanie, mes années, ma jeunesse et mon vécu pendant l'Holocauste. » Et voilà que ce jour est venu. C'est difficile à décrire l'émotion qu'on ressent lors d'une telle entrevue. Il y a des émotions qu'on ne peut pas exprimer en mots, des émotions qui se vivent mais qui ne se parlent pas. Ce sont des expériences inoubliables. Et je termine avec les mots, encore une fois, de Elie Wiesel, qui dit « L'oubli signifierait danger et insulte. Oublier les morts serait les tuer une deuxième fois. » Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Dana. Thank you, Dana. I now call upon Miriam Peretz-Gellerman and Esther Scherf to recite a poem in English.
Voice Remembrance of Transnistria, 1941 to 1944, by Joel Alpern. Mr. J. Alpern is a businessman in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He survived Transnistria, but lost his parents, his brother, and sister there. This poem is dedicated to the memory of his mother. I lost my dear loved ones in the most brutal way. Only Nazis could have done this and gotten away. Now I was left an orphan alone. Where should I turn to? Where should I go?
I cried out for help as hard as could be, but nobody listened or took pity on me. My echoes traveled throughout the world as I begged for mercy, but nobody heard. I did not sleep by night or day, saw no light, not even a ray. No response did I ever hear, that left me bitter and full of fear.
I wandered around in the cold, drizzly night. Struggling to survive was a harsh, lonely fight. I tried to escape and again to be free, but the doors were all closed for people like me.
Being Jewish was the only blemish I carried, the sole reason for being continually harried. Helpless, hopeless, full of bitter tears, having lived through hunger, torture, and fears.
We will now hear an instrumental rendition of Avinu Malkeinu, played by Ariella Gutman. During this song of prayer, you will see a series of photographs of Jewish families in pre-war Romania. I now invite Romy Phillip to recite an excerpt in English.
As a CEGEP student, and especially as one who still sees the lingering effects of anti-Semitism on campus, and especially as a student who had the privilege of going on March of the Living, I hope that this next excerpt truly opens your eyes to the potentials of human cruelty. When we say never again, we mean never shall we allow anything like this to repeat itself, and refusing to forget is our most powerful tool. I will now read you an excerpt from the memoir of Holocaust survivor Miriam Leb. In Transnistria, our family was deported on November 13th, 1941. We spent 3 miserable days in sealed cattle cars before reaching Ataki, the Bessarabian border town by the river Dniester. Many people froze to death before reaching Ataki. The crossing of the Dniester took place during the bitterly cold month of December. We were hurried out of boxcars by gendarmes and forced to leave many of our belongings behind. A military guard escorted us to the town of Ataki. On this trek, local peasants would snatch from us pieces of clothing and warm hats. Those unable to keep pace with the march were killed, either by Romanian gendarmes or by bands of Ukrainian peasants. We were then herded into an inspection trailer, supposedly for a sanitary inspection, but in fact, it was merely intended to humiliate us even more by subjecting us to body searches. Photographs and personal documents were torn to pieces and strewn all over the ground. At the risk of her life, my mother picked up and hid a few family photos. From the trailer, we were marched to the riverbank and crowded onto boats and taken across the Dniester. My Aunt Sally was clutching a jar of homemade jam in which she had hidden pieces of jewelry intended to be bartered for food. But a gendarme brutally hit her arm and she dropped the jar into the waves. In Mogilev, on the opposite bank of the river, we were driven by the gendarmes to an abandoned barracks formerly used as a transit camp for the dispersal of troops in Transnistria. The barracks was in a state of utter desolation. There were no doors and no windows. After our arrival, the gendarmes randomly picked a few deportees from Doroy, took them down to the basement, and brutally beat them, for no apparent reason. Among them, Dr. Cohen, a physician, was also viciously beaten. We realized that these beatings were intended to intimidate us and subdue any attempt at resistance.
Each one of us here plays a critical role in passing on the story of the Holocaust from generation to generation. At this event, we have a tradition of reading the passing of the legacy to remind us of just that. In your program, you'll find a copy of it. I encourage you all to follow along as we have a representative from each generation read their promise. I now call up to the podium Eugene Ardeli, Leah Smilovici, and Ariel Peretz-Gellerman to read the promise for each generation.
Passing of the legacy, the promise. We, the survivors, entrust the legacy of Holocaust to you, the second generation, and thereafter to all generations. Remember the racial prejudice and discrimination which led to the Holocaust. By not forgetting, you will pay tribute to those who were murdered. But not forgetting, you will ensure for those who live and those who are yet to be born that we intend never to allow such cruelty and horror to happen again.
Bună dimineața, good morning. Through our parents' memories, we are linked. We accept and dedicate our promise to you who suffered and survived, and equally to those who perished. In honor of the 6 million, we promise to keep this sacred memory alive from our generation to the next. Thank you.
We promise to remember, to preserve the Jewish spirit that cannot be destroyed, and to teach our children our obligation to recall the lessons of the Holocaust. Never shall we accept intolerance in our societies around the world again. We pledge ourselves to the memory of all those who suffered and to the unity of the Jewish people.
I now call upon Cantor Yitzchak Epstein to sing the memorial prayer. Please rise.
El Malei Rachamim Shochein Bameromim Ametzei Menuchonechoino Al Kanefei Ashchina B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoar Arakia Meirim Humazirim Akidoshim ve'ateorim Yehudei Romania Sheneheregu ve'shenirchato ve'shenigveru chayim Kedusho de Hashem Bavur Romanian Holocaust Commemoration Society Montreal Mispalelim Leilui Nishmosom Began Eden Teyemen Uchasom Lachein Baal Rachamim Yastireim Beseizer Kinafov Leolamim Veitzror Mitzroer Achayim Es Nish boso maduiro yuna chalosom. וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you, Cantor Epstein. As Jacqueline reminded us, Ben Younger began a tradition of reading a poem he wrote before reciting the Kaddish. In his memory, I'd like to invite his granddaughter, Michelle Rubenfeld, to continue this tradition.
Sing, Ben, sing. Sing all you can, no matter where, no matter when. I remember when I was just a number, no more a man. The monsters were having a good time. Their gas chambers were working overtime. The monsters never stopped lurking, while their machine guns in the forest of Europe never stopped working. The world watched in silence, shutting their eyes and ears. No one gave a damn, and no one cared. I wish I can forgive, I wish I can forget. The nightmares don't stop, but I am alive and they are dead. Thank you, miracle, for lifting me up. A voice shouted in my head, jump, 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 Ben. And you will be free again. So sing, Ben, sing, sing all you can, no matter where, no matter when.
Please join us in singing Hatikva, led by the grade 6 students of United Talmud Torah. Following Hatikva, just a last announcement, we had a copy of Baruch's memoir on the table outside, so whoever took it, please return it to us. And now you may all eat.
Spuneți aici toată povestea asta.
Dar a fost soțul meu acolo, a fost luat de la Iași și trădat de un vecin cu care juca fotbal, soccer. Și el s-a ascuns sus la mama lui, soțul meu, supusă mama lui bătrână, așa ca și când a venit să caute soldații nemți, ei nu știu cine locuiește acolo. Dar el, Nicușor, care era prieten și jucau fotbal și tot, du-te, mamă, sus, că el i-a ascuns sub fusta de la mama lui. Și acolo l-a găsit. Hai jos, mă, Jidani. Și a mers în convoi 12.000 de oameni, dintre care 12.000 s-au întors nici măcar jumate.
Dar povestiți cum a reușit să rămână în viață.
Aha, au fost în vagoane 48 de ore și a crezut că a ajuns la capătul României, la Ungaria. Când a deschis, erau tot la pădurile aia și au murit sufocați.
Dar ce a avut el în buzunar?
O bucățică de zahăr, un cub de zahăr. Și tot trăgea una și punea înapoi. Mama lui l-a salvat. Povestea care știu că am trăit cu omul ăsta 60 de ani, 58 de ani am fost măritat.
Asta să vă audă negaționiștii, că există.
Oh,
din păcate.
Din păcate.
E ignoranță, de aia de care spuneam eu, că a spus și Elie Wiesel. Asta e ignoranță.
Și avem printre noi aici. Au venit cu obiceiurile proaste din România.
Și așa este. Mă doare la inimă.
Domnul Farcaș, e lipsă de informare. Deci nu sunt informați, pur și simplu, e ignoranță. Nu
Da.
interesează
și ignoranță, ce este adevărat, au fost educați din familie.
Asta este păcat.
Totdeauna din casa din care vii, așa te conduci. Să fii sănătos, nu mai vine.